Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Calling up in here. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. My last video, if not by pardon, HB, what's good? 83, what's good? Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for coming by. Saturday night. We in the house. Don't believe me, just watch. Ladies and gentlemen, wait for a couple of other people come up in here. We got some people up in here. They might not be up in the chat, but they watching. We understand that. Thank you for tuning in also. Appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. We're going to get into this. I tried to explain how some of this works, if by not one way, the other way. Let's talk about the latter first. If you guys remember, in and around October, mid-October, the situation came down with the young lady who was a Diddy accuser. And the judge in the second district of New York basically said that she would have approximately until November 13th, which was 3 days ago. Yeah, November 13th, 3 days ago, to file a case in her name. Thank you to all the dialogue. Yes, yes, indeed. She would have at least until the 13th of November to file a case in her own name instead of being a Jane Doe. The lawyer responsible for this case was none other than Tony Busby out of Texas. Latif, Exotic Beauty, welcome, welcome. Appreciate you. And so with that being said, there was no case filed. I don't know if y'all paying attention to this, man. So the case was supposed to be filed. If there was no case filed by November 13th, the judge said that she would be throwing the case out. For a lot of people who don't really understand what I'm talking about, federal judge ruling that Jane Doe, who the accuser of Sean P. Diddy Combs, must disclose her identity or her case will be dismissed according to the court documents. In a ruling filed a few Wednesdays ago, basically Judge Mary K. Viscosil wrote, the fundamental question is whether the Jane Doe accuser has a substantial privacy interest that outweighs the customary constitutionality embedded in the presumption of openness in a judicial proceeding, right? So as we know of the 13th of November, the young lady did not file as far as we know. And we haven't seen anything being refiled. Usually, we would hear that all on the news. Jane Doe releases her name and files a new lawsuit. That didn't happen. The case filed by Tony Busby, and this is the funny part. Tony Busby came in and he actually quoted. He said, "We have a great respect for the court and its ruling." Tony Busby, one of the attorneys for Jane Doe, said in a statement, right? Our job as counsel for these victims is to protect their safety the best we can, which is what we're trying to do by filing cases anonymously. Anonymous or not, the case will proceed, period. We haven't seen a filing. As of the 13th, the anonymous filing, according to the judge, was dismissed. And so in a timely manner, all they would have to do is, I guess some kind of stipulation leave the case as is and basically released the Jane Doe's name, but it hasn't been released yet, as we know of at this particular time. So therefore, that says to me that there's something going on. There's something fishy going on in regards to what this really is and what this is about, and these anonymous cases being filed. Like I said, a bunch of people have been stating things. Courtney Burgess, this guy who came out recently and talked about how he was, given these hard drives and things like that. We know for a fact that that is not true, because when called to the grand jury, he said he was no longer in possession of those things. And what I understand it to be, if you no longer had those things, you never had those things. As valuable as the information that he says that he was in possession of would be. Think about it. Like I told you before, if he had tapes with Diddy and all of these supposed celebrities, those tapes are worth millions of dollars. He would have nothing to say. I guarantee you that you would have a number of numerous outlets, news outlets, the Inquirer, or all of these tabloid magazines, they would buy those tapes in a heartbeat. So what it told me about what Courtney Burgess was saying is that it wasn't true. Yes, the art of dialogue, proves that she's lying. Once again, the young lady, if it was anybody that truly ever existed behind this identity of this person who said that they existed from that perspective. But more importantly, when we talk about the case was dismissed because she didn't file a case with her name in it. You see, everybody wants to look at Cassie and talk about Cassie. When Cassie came forward, Cassie basically admitted the crimes, or should I say the incidents in where she was involved with Diddy doing certain types of behavior. She implicated herself in the behavior that she was talking about in her civil lawsuit, right? And we know that they had a relationship. Therefore, Diddy quickly settled. So you have other people coming out claiming that once again, that they were involved somehow, some way with Diddy, and he did X, Y, and Z to them. Once again, the judge in this case in Manhattan said that the young lady and her attorney, Tony Busby, had until November 13th to refile the case with her name in it, and she did not do that. Therefore, the case was dismissed. So one can come out and make all of these salacious statements and accusations, but when their feet is held to the fire, she could not come in and actually now put her name, or put her name where her mouth was from that perspective, and her attorney do the same thing. I don't know if she's innocent or she's a victim or not. Once again, we don't even know if the person actually exists. This is the problem. You filed the case anonymously. How does the person who you're filing the case against even know how to defend themselves if they don't even know who you are? They don't even know if they met you in life, right? Once again, I always ask people to reserve judgment and tread lightly when they are hearing people come out and make salacious allegations, because the gravy train is rolling. The gravy train is rolling. And so once that was done, the judge said, hold on, Tony Busby, you have about 6 or 7 or 8 cases in the 2nd District of New York against Sean P. Diddy Combs, and all of them are anonymous. She just probably wanted to pull back the veil on at least one of those cases by having the accuser, in which Sean P. Diddy Combs' lawyers requested that this accuser in particular name herself and who she is. And that didn't happen. The judge gave them until November 13th. She said, you have until November 13th, and if you do not file a case with the accuser's name in it, the case that you have under the Jane Doe would be dismissed. And as of today, it's dismissed. See, you don't hear the media talking about this. You don't hear the mainstream media, chiming in and say, hey, you know what, Jane Doe case was dismissed based on the fact that they didn't file another one. It's only when things come out that are salacious and crazy sounding, right? The guy, Courtney Burgess, talking about Diddy was on tape with kids and all of this other stuff and what appeared to be underage celebrities, right? We haven't seen any of that. And then to come to find out, he was the one that gave the actual alleged story, not hard drives, to the guy, to the young man who came out with the book talking about Jamal T. Millwood. That's where he got the information from. They were hiding behind a fictitious black man's name in order to peddle this book as some kind of information that came directly from Kim Porter or her hard drives or her computer. Chris Todd was his name. Once again, you can go over on the Art of Dialogue and see the interview that we did about him. And in regards to that, and 2 hours after the interview dropped on the Art of Dialogue, they pulled the book off of Amazon. It was a bunch of lies that was not backed by any kind of truth or fact in that regard. I'm not in favor of Diddy. I'm not against Diddy. I'm going down the line with the facts. It's just as simple as that. And so a lot of people chime in with what they chime in with, but just, reserve the right to wait until you hear what comes out. It is understood that they're going to use, if the case even lasts, because what I'm about to get into now is even deeper than that. Like I said, my last video, I talked about, Donald Trump pardoning Diddy, but at this particular point, he's going to be replacing Damian Williams, right? Trump is going to replace Damian Williams, right? With none other than who? Jay Clayton, the former chairman, chairman of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, right? So the guy who is now prosecuting Sean P. Diddy Combs' case, the RICO case in New York, the current U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, is Damian Williams, right? Longtime prosecutor appointed by President Joe Biden in 2021. So Damian Williams was appointed by Joe Biden. Highest profile prosecutions include the fraud conviction against Sam Bankman-Fried, right? And also the one against Senator Bob Menendez. Also brought pending charges against New York Mayor Eric Adams and Sean P. Diddy Combs. So Damian Williams, as a prosecutor, he's been getting convictions. He got Senator Bob Menendez, and he also got Sam Bankman-Fried. And now he's got Sean P. Diddy Combs and Mayor Eric Adams in his eyesight. But look, like I said, more important than that, when we talk about the bigger facts about what this is about, Trump is now going to basically fire Damian Williams and replace him with Jay Clayton. Now, from a justice standpoint, it seems like, to be perfectly clear and fair, Damian Williams has been doing his job. He's been doing his job, right? And it seems to me that when you talk about Trump, we no longer hear Trump now saying that the election was rigged. We don't hear any of those things anymore. When it was looking like he was going to lose, they was talking about, Detroit, they sent in the police. It was rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. Now that he's won, we don't hear those things. So what it says to me is that when you understand the bigger picture of when somebody's winning, right, they have no complaints. But when they lose, they have a bunch of complaints which may not be real, substantive, or have any merit to it. Damian Williams has been winning the cases that he's had up against him so far, against Senator Bob Menendez, Sam Bankman-Fried. Like I said, now he has Eric Adams under indictment and Sean P. Diddy Combs. These are very high-profile cases. But Trump basically said, not only with Damian Williams will he be firing Damian Williams, but he's also going to be firing Jack Smith, who's the person, who's the prosecutor in charge of the secret documents case, if you will, right? Trump say on day one he firing him. You know, on day one, Damian Williams gone, being replaced by Jay Clayton. Now, I can almost assure you, I told y'all before that Trump had a relationship with Sean P. Diddy Combs. You had people coming in here in the chat talking about, well, they ain't friends. Like, what are you talking about? Trump explicitly said that out of his mouth a few times a while ago. And so what I want you to understand is this. There's more than one ways to skin a cat. So Trump doesn't actually have to pardon Sean P. Diddy Combs. He can replace the attorney, unfortunately, because I don't think that that's right under any circumstances, because it's getting in the way of real justice. If most people could have somebody like that in their favor and could, you know, fire the lawyer, the head prosecutor, and replace it with somebody they like, and then all of the charges and the cases disappear, we would all be so lucky. But we're not. But like I said, this is what we're seeing, and this is what has been said by Trump, right? So once again, Trump is going to fire Damian Williams. Will the new prosecutor in Jay Clayton, will he pursue the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial as vigorously, as diligently as Damian Williams? It remains to be seen. But me personally, what I think, no. And so, like I said, it doesn't matter no way to me how it is. These are just simply the facts. These are simply the facts. So a lot of people have been chiming in once again saying, oh, you know, this won't happen, that won't happen. Like I said, this is what's happening right now under the Trump administration. He said he's gonna fire Damian Williams. Damian Williams got 2 high-profile convictions under his belt: Senator Bob Menendez and Sam Bankman-Fried, right? And so Eric Adams and Sean P. Diddy Combs are the latest cases that he still has yet to prosecute and go to court for. So on day one, January 20th, 21st, if you will, when Trump is sworn in, he said Damian Williams is gone. Jack Smith is gone. And if you ask me, it's kind of a miscarriage of justice if we want to be perfectly clear. Nobody else has had this benefit of, you know, having friends in high places and things like that, and situations like this being able to take place. So, you know, we're going to see what happens with that, you know. But like I said, also the young lady who was told to actually, hey, look, you got to file your case with your name in it against Sean P. Diddy Combs, and you can't remain a Jane Doe any longer. You have to file the case with your name. The case was dismissed by the judge in that case based on the fact the deadline had passed, and it was November 13th. So what that says to me is she didn't exist, or she didn't want a name out there, or it wasn't true to begin with. It's just as simple as that. So now this is what we have. This is what we have. We have this situation right here. Well, once again, it's not even about a fair trial because he's not on trial as of yet. But like I said, what it seemed to me is, you know, they were trying to paint or basically taint the jury a public opinion, if you will. You know, so you make all of these crazy accusations about these kids and things of that nature, and people saying stuff about kids. They haven't seen any tape. They don't know of any evidence that exists in regards to anything like that. They're just parroting what they heard, right? You know, and so by parroting what you hear, it doesn't do anybody any kind of justice. Mainly the defendant, right, being charged with this. And like I said, let's deal with these facts, right? What we see right now is P. Diddy Combs being put in jail for the Cassie tape. That's basically what I believe at this particular point, because I haven't seen anything else that warranted him being in jail. You got to understand, they filed a RICO case and said that all of these other people were co-conspirators in this RICO case, but no one else has been arrested. And then they pull in Courtney Burgess off the street because he was talking about things on the internet about stuff that he had, but when his feet were put to the fire, he couldn't produce anything. He had his lawyer sitting next to him on all these shows. They were propping people up, and you got TMZ putting out documentaries and all of these things. And like I said, once again, they're talking about the Cassie situation. There was no freak off parties, man. There was no freak off parties. The thing that Cassie stated, that was something that Cassie stated in the civil case, and people took that and ran with it. There were no freak off parties. They might have had situations where they had parties and things like that, and people was doing whatever, but it wasn't a freak off party. The freak off situation came where Cassie basically was talking about when Diddy would hire or allegedly hire some kind of worker to come in and be with Cassie while he watched. That was one of his things, right? And so that was one of the things that was considered that. So when they filed the case against Diddy, they filed a RICO case. Basically, the sex trafficking aspect of it is Diddy flying somebody in and paying them, right? Not what they made it seem like as salacious or grotesque as they made it seem like at that particular time. Hello, Deserving More, Pedro Gates, Brian Dow, Sticky, Carla Shepard, Fax Machine 2000, Art of Dialogue, Chevy 2020. And so, like I said, when we talk about the fact, right, the young lady, she was lying. Yeah. Or like I said, or did not exist at all. And they were hoping, so my thing is, well, who do you put the name of the check in? Let's say hypothetically, Diddy settled with this person that Tony Busby filed the lawsuit for. Who name do you put the check in if he settled? You're going to put it in the attorney's name, right? And then, or the law firm's name. Then who do they pay? If they pay anybody. Something's fishy going on, man. Tony Busby said he had 120 other people. So far, we've seen probably a handful of lawsuits, or if not more. And once again, once the New York judge called Tony Busby to task along with his client, he could not produce a lawsuit with her name in it. And like I said, that's her right to not want to put her name in it. Don't get me wrong. That's she has every right to not do that. But once again, if you're making all of these salacious allegations, you got to stand up and be counted. And like I said, because if it's true, then she may stop somebody else from being done wrong by Diddy if what she's saying is true. But from what we understand now, it doesn't seem like it was any truth to it, or any real substance behind it, or facts, merits, or anything other than just somebody filing a lawsuit. And because you can file a lawsuit and you can sue anybody. You understand what I'm saying? Thanks to all of the people who donated too. I appreciate y'all. But like I said, once again, now we're dealing with the reality of Donald Trump being the most powerful man in the world once again. In charge of one of the most powerful militaries in the world, and one of the what we would call the best judicial systems in the world, saying, hey, when I come in to when I'm sworn into office, day one, I'm firing Damian Williams, the guy who's prosecuting Sean P. Diddy Combs, and also Mayor Eric Adams. Just got convictions against Sam Bankman-Fried, and also former Senator Bob Menendez for fraud and bribery and all of those things. So to me, Damian Williams has been doing his job. I don't hate Damian Williams, like Damian Williams. I'm looking at it that he's been doing his job. He got two high profile convictions. One's against a U.S. Senator, Bob Menendez. The other against crypto guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, who is now currently Sean P. Diddy Combs' cell buddy, if you want to be perfectly clear. No, I don't feel no way, shape, or form about Sean P. Diddy Combs. Like I told you, I still believe that Sean P. Diddy Combs was involved and conspired in the death of Tupac Shakur. So you don't know how I feel, Pedro Gates. Absolutely, you don't know how I feel at all. Like I said, once again, dealing with the fact of the matter, what Keffe D said when he talked to the U.S. attorney in the beginning, and what he told him. Now Keffe D has recanted his story because once again, he's being held accountable for what he did and what he was involved in by not an investigation done by law enforcement and finding out, but by Keffe D's own confession in his book, on the Art of Dialogue, on Vlad, and on numerous other documentaries. Like I said, you can like who you want to like, but that doesn't change the truth. That don't change the facts. If somebody says that they did something and they were not coerced into saying that they did it, and okay, cool. See, after, most people don't understand. See, after Keffe D was given a proffer deal, right? He could have told the U.S. attorney and them whatever he wanted. He got what he wanted. He got out on the situation. He got away from the situation. He made a deal with the government, right? Okay, now go off into the sunset and keep your mouth quiet, because most people didn't even know anything about it until the Greg Kading murder rap DVD came out. Now Keffe D said, well, no, since he's doing DVDs, I'm gonna write a book. But once again, I try to tell people, Greg Kading was not being investigated in the murder of Tupac Shakur, but Keffe D was. And not only that, he had already confessed, unbeknownst to the public, to the U.S. Attorney's Office, as well as the Las Vegas Police Department. This is nobody snitching on nobody, telling on nobody. This is somebody being their own worst enemy and saying and copping to the fact that they were involved with the death of one of the most famous rappers that has ever lived, in Tupac Shakur, and actually going around and bragging and laughing about it. I understand the reason why Keffe D felt the way he felt in regards to what had happened to his nephew, right? I totally understand that. But from a legal standpoint, from a common sense standpoint, you got a great deal. Walk off into the sunset and let that be that. But that didn't happen. Now, that's the reason why Keffe D is sitting in Clark County Detention Center. So, yeah. And so when people say what they say about certain things, about when I talk about these situations involving Sean P. Diddy Combs, oh no, I don't have any bone to pick with Sean P. Diddy Combs. He never did anything to me, but these are simply the facts. Like I said, you can go look at the Art of Dialogue videos. Go look at him when Keffe D was on there. Look at all of the things that he said, because that's going to be played in court. You can count on it. Vlad videos, who else? The couple of what else? The documentaries that he was in. I'm saving this for the streets. And like, what? Like I said, once again, some people get addicted to the fame and the notoriety, even if it's something that's detrimental to their freedom. And that's what it seems like to me that happened. Yeah, actually, like you say, Fax Machine 2000, also the book. Most importantly, the book. You know, and like I said, coming out and promoting it, like, and I think one of the misjudgments that Keffe D had was the fact that he didn't understand that how powerful Tupac was, how powerful Tupac's spirit was, how powerful the love that people had for Tupac was, and still is today. Nobody was going to buy that book like that in regards to him saying that he killed one of the most, or was involved or complicit in the murder of one of the most revered and famous individuals in hip-hop history, as complex as Tupac was. You know, so that was a bad move. Like, nah, people don't really want to, hear or see that. I understand that he wanted to tell a story based on what Greg Kading did with Murder Rap. But at the end of the day, he had already made a deal with the government. So it wasn't going to really look good for him either way, based on the fact that he had made a deal and that was in Murder Rap. So it didn't look good either way. But I understand Keffe D's thought and think and say, hey, you know what? I could put out the book. I could make some money too. But the book didn't pay like that because they had already did the movie. You know, they had already did the movie involving the Tupac situation. So, and once again, as far as the resurrection movie in Tupac's own words, and talking about the Vegas thing, what happened in Vegas, and all of those other things. It's even though as much information wasn't out at that particular time that they did that, but the Murder Rap thing came and kind of closed things off, because we not only, it wasn't just a documentary, we actually heard Keffe D speaking in that video, the audio, saying, hey, if y'all don't bullshit me, I ain't gonna bullshit y'all. I'm gonna tell y'all what happened. Who was in the car, who gave who the gun, and all of these things. Once again, these are all of the things that he said. And like I said, even if a person wants to say, well, he was lying about that, that ain't heavy. He wasn't lying to me, because it wasn't something that he needed to tell me, you, or anybody else in this chat. The person that he was talking to was the U.S. attorney and the LAPD at that particular time, trying to obtain his freedom. So, and say, well, he was lying. Like, you're not trying to convince me that he was lying. He was trying to convince them that he was telling the truth, and so he can get the deal that he wanted, so that he wouldn't go to prison. So when directed to people in the chat or people, no, it's not about us. We're having a conversation about public information that was made public by the person who was an alleged a perpetrator in a crime, in a high profile crime. And so, like I said, it's nothing more than that. So when we go back, we go back and we circle around. Damian Williams, the prosecutor involved in the P. Diddy case, is gonna be replaced in November. In January 20th, if I'm not mistaken, 2021, 20 or 21st. That's when the inauguration happens. So when that happens, Damian Williams will no longer be the head prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. From the federal side of things, Trump has the, because like I said, he's president. Anything federal, from that perspective, and when somebody is appointed, from that perspective, Trump's gonna say, hey, you know what, you can go. Me personally, from a justice standpoint, I don't think that that's right. You know what I mean? But hey, my name Bennett and I ain't in it. That's Trump thing. You know what I mean? Just like a lot of people didn't understand what tariffs were. You know what I mean? You got people out here, they didn't even understand what a tariff was. They're talking about, yeah, the Chinese gonna pay for the tariffs. No. Us as Americans are gonna pay for the tariffs if Trump imposes tariffs. So that makes prices go up. And that makes people lose their job, for the people that really didn't know about what tariffs were. So, brace yourself. Like I said, once again, you know what I mean? It's always about being empowered with the information. I don't have nothing against Donald Trump. You know what I mean? I didn't have nothing against Kamala Harris. He won. But all I know is Trump not saying it's rigged no more now that he won. So now the fact that when he lost, it lets me know that he's not used to losing, and he'll come up with any old kind of excuse to get people to believe it's rigged. They stole it. He went on Joe Rogan, and he was talking on Joe Rogan, and then he slipped up and said, in 2020, I lost by. He said, no, hold on, I didn't lose. So, you take that for what that is. And now, if anything has been revealed, it's that. When you think about the big picture, when he was losing, it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. Now he won. It was a fair and free and fair election. I won the popular vote. I won the electoral college, and I'm the greatest thing ever. Take it for what it is. Like I said, I'm informed. But Damian Williams will be fired, replaced by former SEC chair Jay Clayton, basically in Trump in his first administration, Jay Clayton took over as U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, replacing Jeffrey Berman, who was fired. So Clayton's going to be back again and as the head attorney in the Southern District of New York, and we're going to see what happens, man. Like I said, but we don't know if that case is going to be filed again against Sean P. Diddy Combs, the one that was dismissed regarding the young lady. But as of November 13th, the case that she was supposed to come back and file in her real name, she hasn't done that. So the Jane Doe case has been dismissed. And like I said, most people don't really understand what that means. I think that's monumental. It says either the case was bogus to begin with. The young lady didn't want her name out there and only wanted a check, or thought that she could get a check and remaining anonymous, or it was all a lie to begin with, and she was lying, or somebody was lying. So that's basically what that tells us. The 100 cases, there's no 100 cases. That was all a bluff. That was a media bluff. Sounded good, didn't it? Ooh, Diddy got 120 cases. Come on, man. Come on. You know, there was a hotline. They did the hotline. The people calling the hotline number. The Art of Dialogue did a thing over there where they called the hotline, him and Gene Deal. Go check out the video. Yeah, they did the hotline, 1-800 if you've been touched by Diddy or something like that. Something crazy. You know what I mean? Once again, the things we fall for because we don't know and we don't have the information and we don't take time to understand. You know? Yeah. So where's the other 100 cases? There are no 100 cases. There was never 100 cases. There was never 100 cases. Once again, that was a media ploy. That was something to get attention and to cash in on the moment at the time of what was going on. You know, they cashing in on the hype. I told you the gravy train is rolling, you know, people trying to get on it. Or if it's really people trying to actually get on it. Because all of the cases were filed anonymously. So if one of them not real, then we have to question all of the cases now. Is any of them real? Are any real names behind these cases? Are any real faces behind these cases that have been filed in the Southern District of New York? And remind you, they're civil cases. These are not criminal cases. These are civil cases. These are cases seeking money, monetary compensation. J33PFYN4TIK, what's happening? Brian Dow, deserving more. LeVar Bogan, Pedro Gates. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. I appreciate y'all coming up in here, man. But like I said, so we're gonna wait to see what's basically happening with this whole situation. Because right now, with Trump making this announcement that he gonna fire the prosecutor who's prosecuting Diddy, it makes the hype is kind of like, it dissipates the case, if you will. It takes the fuel out of the case, man. Yeah. It takes the fuel out of the case. Now, I didn't hear what happened to Diddy lately. I don't know if it's even true when they say anything people say now. I don't even know if it's true no more, man. I really just don't know if it's true anymore, man. You know, you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt, man. I don't know if nothing true no more. You know, like I said, the internet, you know, people coming out these cases and people saying these things, and when you ultimately try to find out what it is that you need to find out about certain things, then you can't really find it out, because now they're hiding their hand. They're throwing rocks and then hiding their hand. It's like, you know, like I say, Courtney Burgess, he came out. Oh man, I got 8 tapes with Diddy on it, with Jay-Z and ba-da-da-da-da. This, all of the stuff they put in the book, man. None of that was true. Can you believe that? Can you believe? See, now, like once again, there's a case that recently just happened against one of Diddy's accusers. And the guy who used to be Diddy's bodyguard just filed a defamation case against that young lady for saying that he did something to her and she don't even know if it was him. You see what I'm saying? And so the case was just filed recently. One of Diddy's former security guards is suing one of the young ladies who basically said that that he had did something to her that he didn't do. So he's suing her now. So you really don't know what to believe, man. Nah, I didn't hear any jail calls, anything like that. Yeah, like I said, once again, man, when we sit down and we relax and we kind of take our time, and like I say, I understand the media frenzy. You know, once they start to going with certain narratives and things like that, when you sit back and give it some time, the fuel is gone. I'm not familiar with anything in regards to anybody by the name of Big Joe, if that's the guy you talking about from Diddy, from the situation with Diddy. Like I said, once again, all I know is that the guy who used to be Diddy security is suing one of Diddy's accusers because she said that he did something to her that he said he didn't do. So now he was forced to basically file a defamation lawsuit against her. It's then got too wild, man. It's then got too wild. You know, you had the other young lady who her lawyers dropped her in her case because they didn't believe her. The lawyers tried to basically make it like it was another reason, but basically they didn't believe her. She was talking about she wanted Cassie money. She wanted 30 million, you know, and they were like, what? 30 million for what? You know? And the same lawyer who was representing her turned around and started representing Courtney Burgess, if you will. And so, see the and like I said, it really doesn't make any kind of sense because the book was taken down off of Amazon. There were no, it was meritless. It wasn't true. Like I said, when I did the interview with the guy Chris Todd about the book about Kim Porter, that was Kim Porter's memoirs or something like that, which it wasn't. When I did the interview on the Art of Dialogue, I'll tell y'all, if y'all haven't seen it, go check out the interview that I did with Chris Todd. Once I did the interview, I knew certain things about certain events, and I'm like, involving Tupac, and I asked him certain questions, and he couldn't answer it. He got frustrated. Why? Because he didn't know. He didn't know Tupac. He didn't know Kim Porter. He hadn't met none of these people. He wasn't from the culture. He wasn't around back then. You know what I mean? To understand what it was, what it wasn't. Saying that Kim was in the office with Faith Diddy, and Diddy told Kim, yeah, that's why I sent Faith at Tupac once Tupac got out of jail. And like I told him, I was there when they met at the Hollywood Athletic Club. I was there that night, right there when they met. Watched it with my own eyes. Right? So I knew right then and there that the book wasn't true. I'm like, this ain't true. Are you kidding me? Who would say some crazy stuff like that? And notice the timing that the book came out and really started to pick up. It was after Diddy got locked up. It was as if somebody was behind it, trying to, once again, like I say, tank the jury of public opinion. So that if you do file a case, now, once you go to court, you know, people are believing all of these wild accusations and saying, well, hey, if he's not guilty for this, then there's a lot of stuff out there about him. I don't know if it's true. Like I said, but you have people that believe a lot of times things that ain't true. That's just what they want to believe. So, like I said, once again, man, we're going to see what happens with this Diddy situation. Either whether it will make it to trial or, and Trump saying he's going to replace Damian Williams with Jay Clayton, whether it just gets dropped that way or whether they still proceed with the prosecution. But like I said, if Trump replaces Damian Williams, I just don't see this case proceeding any longer from that perspective. And they start to go out and pull out and really talk about the evidence that they have, whether it's a weak or a strong case or not. Like I said, once again. So, you know, we're gonna see what happens with that. Your boy DELRAY, thanks for all the donations. I appreciate it. And yeah, tune in. Straight game.